So welcome to another episode of Feature Fridays, and my name is Guy Bartram. I'm Director of Product Marketing at VMware for our Cloud Solutions, and particularly Cloud Director and the associated suite of products. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Cloudist Solutions, Jasenko and Robert. Thank you very much for coming today and walking through, the journey you've been on so far. So should we start off with a round of introductions? Jasenko, do you want to go first?
Thank you, Guy. Yes, and please, it's our pleasure to be on, and I appreciate you letting us be on a Feature Friday. So my name is Jasenko Masic. I'm the business unit manager at Cloudist. I've been with the company for almost 5 years now.
Thanks, Jasenko. And Robert?
Sorry. My name is Robert Brink, working as a cloud architect at Cloudist Solutions, and have been doing so for the last 3 years now.
Excellent. Well, guys, thank you very much for coming on the Feature Fridays, and thank you for getting the name right, Jasenko. Not the Freaky Fridays, which I think you called it last time.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, guys. So Cloudist Solutions. Obviously our viewers are going to want to know more about who you are and what you do, and we'll get to why we've got you on here in a bit. But can you just give us a bit of background about the company, where it's come from?
Sure, definitely. So we are a Swedish-based company owned by Echo Data Center, which is a big Nordic colocation provider. And what's unique with Echo Data Center is that they're one of the first climate-positive data centers in the world, and they are producing. Reusing the heat in a very special way, which is kind of unique, and also producing new energy with the data center heat that's left over. So
very cool.
It is actually. It's a really unique thing, and good in timing for that as well.
Yeah.
So what we do and how we kind of differentiate us from the market is that we are a kind of a service provider for service providers. So I'll come back to that in a moment. But first, Guy, I would like to ask you one question, since you're working for a big tech company.
Go ahead.
Do you believe that sky really is the limit when it comes to cloud services, especially to the public cloud? More or less, anything is possible.
Yeah, totally. I think that we're just touching the surface of what cloud is going to really become in the future. 10 years ago to 15 years ago, when things like UDDI, I don't remember if you remember what UDDI was, a registry on the internet of services that could be queried. That type of thing really inspired me back then to think about how applications could be hybrid and span different environments and be serviced by different providers to consumers. And we're just starting to see the massive shift, I think, in customers starting to consume cloud and what cloud's going to become, which is really more exciting, I think.
Yeah.
Where it's going to end up. We're talking now. I think we're at the start of hybrid applications, and as people are transforming their apps and using different cloud platforms for their best bits, which they should be, you end up with distributed applications. And it's going to be really interesting to see in the next 10 years where that goes and what cloud providers become specialists in particular technologies, particular verticals, perhaps. We were seeing a lot of drive to verticalization recently. I think that's going to be an ongoing thing. So no, the sky's not the limit at all. The upper stratosphere would be, before we start thinking about something different.
I mean, we obviously agree to that, but at the same time, we also believe that the price you maybe have to pay is sometimes or very often is our belief that the complexity comes with it, and therefore we are kind of taking another approach. And to us, a good solution is a solution that's really easy to use, requires minimum of resources, but at the same time gives you all the possibilities and performance that you might need when your business grows. So what we have done back in 2018, we decided, we sat down in a board meeting and discussed how can we differentiate us from the market, from being a regular service provider, which we were. And the only thing we brought from that meeting was basically that our biggest competitors should become our best friends. So it was a tough challenge, but we took it on, and we are here today with Cloudist Solutions. So, and what I meant earlier by saying we're kind of a service provider for service providers is that we provide that edge with a climate positive data center through which through which service providers can offer their own branded cloud services, and that everything without burden of managing, maintaining, and developing the technology behind it.
It's interesting. I think this is definitely a growing area. We're seeing many more providers now starting to take this model. And if you look at so there's 4,000 odd, between 4,000 and 5,000 partners in our program in VMware for cloud providers globally. And when you look at the world of smaller service integrators, service operators, specialists in cloud technologies, you're looking at around 40 to 60,000 different entities. And those entities traditionally have been, running a few hosts, looking after the hardware, CapEx investments, etc. Not something they wanted to be doing. They wanted to be focusing their business on where they're, going to make the most money, which is perhaps, I don't know, doing specialized data lake analytics or something like that. And now, when you look at the modern SISO, they're going to be actually not running any infrastructure. They're going to come to a cloud provider to run that infrastructure. And cloud providers generally will want to run the managed service. That's where the most revenue is. They don't really want to run the infrastructure if they can avoid it, or run it in an asset-light scenario. So it's guys like you who drive the scale, who can reap the benefits and keep your margin good enough by delivering sustainability on a scale that is beneficial to you, and then servicing the other cloud providers out there who actually want to provide managed services onto the infrastructure you provide. So they're going above the OS, if you like, and you guys are taking everything below.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you touched it. They're not going to just want to manage it, but there's also investments. You have to. We don't believe that the small, medium, also bigger service providers, I don't think they really want to make the investments, and sometimes can't afford to make the investments every 3 to 5 years. So instead, they could focus on building their brand, adding value to the end customers, and they'll obviously have more time for it.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that's quite interesting, and I've been reading a few analyst reports about this, about the advisory for cloud providers, is actually the successful cloud providers are going to be ones that are going to be partnering with other cloud providers.
Yeah.
And they're saying now, it's definitely not a one-horse race. This needs to be a race where you utilize the strengths and the agility of other partners to fill the gaps that you can't provide with your customers.
Yeah.
And that will keep your customers sticky with you, keep them on your platform, keep the managed services rolling in, and that's a critical differentiator. So it's good to see that actually in action. And what sort of sorry, go on.
No, I just wanted to continue on that. I mean, we believe so too, 100%, and we've seen that. We've had some really interesting cases with some partners winning some interesting deals together, and I think 1 + 1 can become 3 instead of 2. So I definitely agree on that.
And Robert, over to you for a quick question. When we're looking at this kind of 3-tier model, right? It's you, and then it's another service provider, and then the consumer. What sort of architectural challenges did that throw up for you? I mean, I know you guys have worked around and got your own portal. That was probably the main point of concern and focus, or were there other things?
That was definitely one of the major things that so far has made us stick out a bit out of from the other service providers, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Because not all products that we use are intended for this business model either, with a distributor, service provider, and end customer. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, we really struggled on how should this be developed, but then the portal grew in itself quite naturally, I'd say. And we have taken a very very much an automated and a self-service approach to all the services that we provide, because we don't want to be blocking any customers from doing stuff to their service that we need to, change a setting or configure a device or whatever. That should be fully automated and run by the service provider themselves. So in the beginning, it was challenging understanding how the products were meant to work and how we could make them work. So yeah, that was a challenge, but I think we found a way now.
And while we're talking about the products, obviously you guys aren't just providing VMware, you're providing other solutions as well. What does that look like from a portal perspective? What other solutions have you got behind this portal?
We are very heavily focused on the VMware platform, of course, but there are other services as well from your parental company, Dell, for example. We provide S3 services. So we build object storage, which can be sold by a service provider to end customers. And we have maybe this is more of Jasenko's territory, but the licensing parts as well. Maybe you can deep dive on that.
Yeah, so apart from VMware and the S3 object storage, we also deliver for service providers. They could resell Office 365 licenses. They could resell Azure subscriptions. We also have some VM Cloud Connect, for example, offsite storage or copy of their on-prem backup. We are about to implement 365 backup for in the portal as well very soon. So our goal is to have a one-stop shop where all the services can be managed for service providers. They don't need to jump in different UIs. We're going to provide everything from our portal, basically. Yeah. And where we end, we don't know. This is a pretty new start. We've been running with this platform for a little bit more than 2 years. Worked very well. Knock. How do you say it? Take on tree? No.
Touch wood. Yeah.
Touch wood. Yeah. But yeah, so far it's been very good, and we are really satisfied, and our partners are satisfied as well, and that's the main thing. And also, I mentioned earlier about the complexity and pricing and stuff like that could come. We have also taken a totally different approach there, because we believe that, at least, and I think that's up to others to say, but all our stuff are 100% predictable. We have fixed pricing. We're not charging for stuff that could go up and down. A lot of bigger providers, and obviously the public cloud, you have, for example, the data transfer. That's something it's really hard to know the cost. And if you have a few hundred of VMs running, you won't know what the cost actually is going to be. And we are not charging for these kind of parameters that could go up and down. You will always know the cost. Another thing is that we don't have any commitments, no baseline whatsoever. So start the service whenever you want, shut it down whenever you want. You'll just pay for the use, what you have used for. And all this through an extensive partner program with multiple tiers, and that partners can obviously grow into. And from day one, they have full access for the whole. They can take advantage of our whole portal or service delivery platform that allows them with just few clicks provision all the services to their customers.
Yeah. And what's the data center kind of presence look like from your perspective? Where are the Cloudist Solutions data centers today?
So today we're running in 2 different regions. We have a north region and central region. We're looking into a 3rd region, hopefully providing that soon. But the north is obviously in the northern part of Sweden, and the central is in the central part of Sweden. So one is in a city called Falun, and the other one is in a city called Piteå. So
and that's where we deliver. Yeah, you distribute your services across both those in some sort of high availability model if required as well?
Yes, we do. Okay. So customers can choose where they want to run the services, what's really interesting also, I think we did some calculations on that, Robert. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the central region gives us basically all the capital cities in the Nordics: Oslo, Helsinki, and Copenhagen, Stockholm. Everything within 13 to 15 milliseconds. So the strategic position of our central data center is really good for the whole Nordics market.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Anything less than sort of 80 or 100 is workable usually.
Yeah,
Excellent.
exactly.
So okay, so the service portal, we kind of mentioned this a little bit before. How did that start being, conceptualized, designed? How did you go about the process of kind of prioritizing what you were going to deliver first?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it was ups and downs, but basically what it all came down to initially was automation. We needed to automate all the processes we could. We didn't want traditionally, and I think a lot of service providers can rely on this, is that when a customer wants a VM, and for them to send a ticket or request to get the VM up, that's kind of
It's old school.
old school. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we wanted everything to be as automated as possible, as easy as possible. Simplicity is one thing you really is our key word. And that's how it all started. And so basically, we were looking at products that could help us deliver this, at the same time deliver full capability of multi-tenancy. And VMware had one of those products, which we will jump into a little bit later. But automation was the key. I would say to that, and how to build everything through automation.
sure. So you're using, Cloud Director is one of the products that you kind of have as your main data center infrastructure provider.
Yep.
That is then being orchestrated directly from the UI via Cloud Director APIs. Is that okay? That's how you're using it.
Well, yeah, very little. We're basically we'll jump into it, but we are letting customers jump into the vCloud Director and work in the Cloud Director UI. There is some stuff that we provide in the front end.
So you're just provisioning them access to Cloud Director, then they can go and do what they wish.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that makes sense. In fact, that's quite a nice model. Then you're having to do less work on the front end than anyone else who is basically creating another UI for Cloud Director. You're actually using the product for what it does best, which is letting the customers play within the product.
We had that discussion, was it a couple of weeks ago, me and Robert and some other guys. Going forward now, how in 3 years do we see all the normal procedures like create a VM, add disaster recovery, create backup? Do we see that being run in our front end? And we kind of decided, because there's multiple providers here. It's not just VMware, as we said. Do we want to do all the code for the front end, or could we just use product that enables this functionality like, for example, vCloud Director, or Veeam has their own service provider console. Could we use these type of products and let customers work in those products? Because our customers are service providers. They've been working with VMware. They've been working with Veeam. They know these products. So instead of creating everything in the front end, maybe do confuse them. We'll just let them continue work with the products they know, and that's the plan going forward, at least.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you're dealing with COTS products, like common on-the-shelf products, like from vendors like VMware, Microsoft, whoever. You're always going to get that 80-20 rule, which is I got 80% that I wanted. I'm missing the 20% that I need, and that's where you need an extensible framework. You need something that is going to be not only delivering the business as normal services that you need, but also have the longevity to look to future development and be flexible enough to support that in a sustainable, highly automated manner, like you've said. And I think VCDs, definitely, from the extensibility framework we've introduced in 9.7, and we're going to see actually you guys mentioned earlier offline to me that you're using Cohesity. So we did a VM live last night, but depending when you're watching this video, it might have been a while ago, with Cohesity and VCD, and Cohesity, Veeam, Zerto, Rubrik, a bunch of others, Dell Data Protection. They all have products that they've put into VCD, which look and feel like VCD, but they're just using the extensibility framework to call into their product sets. So it's kind of that, and there's a lot in play around extensibility for the future as well, which is all of our object storage extensibility, container service extensions, that is all being driven via the extensibility framework as well. So it's definitely moving in that direction, and I think that's the right direction. As I said before, there's partnering with vendors and having a good vendor ecosystem, but there's also, if your service providers are specialists in particular areas, they can deploy their own plugins into that environment. And expose their new services to their customers, but then it gives you the opportunity to say, well, actually, do you want us to promote this into the top level and make it available for everyone? And we're seeing a few service providers come up with that level of change in their business, where suddenly they're realizing, actually, we're really good at doing this type of management, and we could write something that would attract people to this service, and we could charge for it. So brilliant.
Well, that's true, and we take a lot of feedback from our partners. You asked me earlier about how do we prioritize stuff, and a lot of stuff we are doing now is and going forward is feedback from our partners. They're the ones talking to the customers. They are the one with the requirements. So we listen to them. We have a look if it's possible to create the features and requirements they have, and that's what's highest on our priority going forward.
Cool. So take me through the VMware kind of solution set you've got today. Then, before we dive into the portal, let's talk about the kind of the evolution of the VMware solutions you've had. How's that started? How's it evolved, and where do you see that going?
I'll let that over to Robert.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, well, it actually started long before I joined the company, but back then it was a pretty traditional delivery based on old vSphere platform with a couple of hosts and a compellent SAN in the back end. And they built it all by hand, basically. So if a customer needed a VM, it would be set up fully manual. But going forward, we kind of decided we need to take out the hardware operations as much as we could. So we looked into different solutions, and we found the VxRail platform from your rental company, which is delivering it's delivering good value for the money. It's it's a proven concept, and you get a good experience from operating it and from maintaining it. So we don't have to spend as much time as we were on the legacy platform we had. And then on top of that, of course, there's a number of services running. The VMware Cloud Director, and with all the different appliances and support functions that's needed to deliver this services to our customers.
So let me just stop you there. So let's just replay that in my head. So we started with a pretty much a managed hosted model in discrete vCenters for discrete customers, hosted hardware. That was very OpEx heavy in terms of, well, the delivery of the virtualized solution, but also the hardware management and being able to manage the hardware lifecycle. So you moved to a VxRail solution, which then brought in the lifecycle management from the hardware perspective, which then allowed you to become a lot more flexible in terms of your operational, you were saving some operational costs, which freed up some resources for you to focus on the next thing rather than keeping your head above water. Yeah,
absolutely. It does take quite a lot of pain points away when you look at because you as a provider are very good at providing excellent documentation. And I mean, the hardware compatibility lists that you have to go through, they're very good, but it's a very time-consuming work if you want to do it by hand and upgrade your host environment with your vCenter, and it takes so much time. So this is a really, really good solution going with a VxRail. It's almost like a Dell managed solution, I'd say, and it suits us perfect. So,
and are you using the Dell VMware Cloud Foundation footprint on top of that then?
No, actually not Cloud Foundation. It's built on just the components themselves.
Right. Okay.
So without Cloud Foundation.
So so essentially using Dell for the hardware and the lifecycle management of the hardware, but then you're introducing the virtualized layer yourselves and managing that yourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with the VxRail, you get it delivers up to the point of the vCenter if you want to. So that's a good thing, actually. So we take advantage of that as much as we can.
So what does the VMware stack look like on top then?
Oh, it's a pretty extensive one, I'd say. There are all the Cloud Director nodes and the Operations Manager, and you have Tenant app and all the package around that. We started out by using vRealize automation as well, but once our automation skills grew, and well, we basically came to the point that why don't we build our own API functionality? So we're actually standing that up ourselves now, and I'd say a lot of our development is focusing on that API engine, picking out the right parts from every service, presenting it to the customer in the portal, and doing all our business logic and I mean the technical logic as well.
And you have like so this is the automation for essentially partner onboarding and service onboarding for the partner.
Yeah, but there is also the business logic when it comes to, for example, metering and billing and onboarding, offboarding, as you said, of course, and all of that. So yeah, it's a really essential part of the toolkit nowadays.
So you guys, I mean, we've been talking for a couple of months now around Cloud Director availability and DR as a service, and how are you finding that ability to be able to, I guess, just plug in, like you said, tenant apps there, app launchpads there, vRealize operations is there, Cloud Director availability is there. Is that something that's working for you? Is that something that in your view is a big benefit from having Cloud Director? What would you say is the kind of the one thing? Because as a provider to providers, as a distributor to providers, you're more concerned about the delivery of the service than you are of the nuts and bolts in the service necessarily. Is this something that's really enabling you to do much more than you previously did?
Yeah, to speak from the technical side, yes, I'd say so, because we can, on a much more granular level, enable or disable features for a customer if a partner wants that enabled and as a service. So it allows for a lot of more flexibility from our side, and so a partner could just consume exactly what they want for an end customer of theirs. So yeah.
But not only that, you mentioned Guy, you mentioned Operations Manager, Cloud Availability. We have the App Launchpad, the Tenant app, Data Protection. All these products that we are running now in vCloud, they all have basically the same UI, and that's really simple. And from a customer experience perspective, I would say that's pretty unique. You can run multiple services with the same UI, and you're familiar with it. So in terms of simplicity for an onboarding a partner that's been running Hyper-V, for example, it's really, really simple. And I think if you guys continue that work, delivering the plugins from different vendors, that's going to be a deal breaker.
Yeah, I mean, we are. There is a, there's an active ecosystem of plugins. Like Cohesity just released their 2.1 plugin, I think, which has got more functionality in it. And we're going to be releasing some cool new functionality in the next VCD release, which is going to be driven by extensibility. But obviously, the extensibility framework is open source. It's something that you guys could drive, your partners could drive, build their own extensions and deliver services in that manner as well. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think, Jasenko, that's a good kind of play into the next phase of this Feature Friday, which is to have a look around.
Sure.
Have a little snoop around your portal and how we, I'm really interested in not necessarily diving into all the VMware components because we know you've got those, but just really the customer experience that you're giving to a provider who's coming on board and wants to access these services.
Perfect. Can we cut here for a second?
Sure.
So I just share my screen,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's then jump into it. Hold on. Okay, I'll start sharing now. Let me.
We've got about 10-15 minutes left, so.
Okay, good.
10 preferably.
Yep. All right.
All right, there you go.
So this is the portal, the service delivery platform that we deliver. I'm right now logged in as a Cloudis demo. The services we deliver today, some of the services we deliver, virtual data center, which is obviously the vCloud Cloud Director platform, okay. Disaster recovery, which is the VMware Cloud Director availability. As we mentioned earlier, Microsoft 365 and Azure, you can manage your subscriptions and your licenses. We have the S3 object storage and the VMcloud Connect. Okay. If you want to, let's assume that you are a new partner, and the first thing you obviously would like to do is maybe to rebrand your portal, because this portal can be branded to your own. And I just took a really simple VMware logo here. Let's assume that VMware is going to be our partner going forward. So I added my logo. I could change my colors to what I prefer. Makes sense. And basically, if I allow customers to log in here now, they will see this view. So right now, I'm working as a partner. We have a button here, which is the one we've spent a lot of time with developing, the switch customer. So I have now customer A, B, and C here. And if I want to handle their services, I can just choose one of those customers. And right now, I'm managing their services. So if I jump...
That impersonation is very important for you guys. Oh, and for your partners as well.
It is, definitely. And I think this is also what makes it such a successful platform, because it's really easy to change customers, work with them, and all their services.
Yeah.
As a partner, you obviously want to add your legal documents, like your terms and conditions, agreements, if you want to have something to your partners. Fix your support. You can provide, all our partners can take advantage of a widget basically and put on their webpage, so they have a create account or to our portal or to their own portal, more or less. They could add that on their webpage, so they can customers can sign up on their webpage as well.
Okay, brilliant. So like just a little snippet of code that embeds in their page. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. We have a widget. They can just take this code, put it on their webpage, and they have a sign-up form.
Oh, that's good. That's going to drive a bit more demand.
Hopefully. So jumping into services, before we jump into VMware, one of our most popular services obviously is S3, where you create S3 object storage, you create buckets. Really simple service. You just create the bucket. Choose a bucket name, the quota you want to have, what type of retention, and once you have the bucket, it's ready for usage. So just connect with S3 browser or whatever software you're using, and it's up and running. It takes seconds to set it up.
Now, this is we had a conversation around this the other day, Jasenko. I mean, just going to reiterate the conversation here. There is S3 storage. You're offering native S3 storage here, available separate from VCD. So we're not looking at the object storage extension at the moment. We're just looking at native S3.
Correct.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's native S3 right now. Yes.
Yeah.
But we have plans and are discussing to integrate it into vCloud Director.
Cool.
Looking on 365 quickly, just we're providing the licenses that you could, all the licenses basically from the Microsoft 365 portfolio. Right now, I'm just running one basic here, but you can order all the licenses you potentially might want to have from here. And once you change the number and hit update, the same seconds or few seconds later, it's basically public in your, visible in your 365 portal.
Right.
But let's jump into VMware, and I think I'll let it over here for Robert to take over, or should I continue, Robert?
You can move on.
I can move on, and you can jump in with the technical part.
Absolutely.
So, looking into VDC service that we deliver, it's obviously a native VMware Cloud Director. Customers can create virtual data centers, manage their network, firewalls, and all kinds of features that are included. In this specific case, I have a virtual data center here with some virtual machines. What they can do in the front end is basically just changing backup policy. We have multiple backup policies, basic, standard, premium, and different retention times.
Yep.
So as of now, they can just set the backup policy. Once they have done it, we're using Cohesity, and we'll jump into the Cloud Director very soon to show how that looks. We also have two regions, as we mentioned, Central and North, and you can jump between the regions and work with a different virtual data center.
Sure.
Well, let's log into the North. And sorry, I maybe missed that, but create VDC, a partner or a customer, if depending on the partner, allows the customer to log in, but they can just create a VDC here with test, choose a firewall if they want. We are providing right now the VMware's Edge Gateway firewalls, redundancy if they want that on ISP level, public IP addresses, etc. Just hit create, and once they hit create, it takes a couple of, it says minutes, but I would say seconds to get it up and running. It should be here. There it is. So I can basically now deploy, log into VDC, and sorry about that. Log into the Cloud Director and start working with my my virtual data center.
Very
Here is
cool.
the test we just created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the old one. What we have done in the platform, we have, as we mentioned earlier, added our the extensibility with the data protection, with using Cohesity in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can do there is do monitoring, do some restores. If you want to restore a VM, restore files, you can do everything from this UI within the portal.
Yeah, this is a particularly nice plugin in that actually the only reason to go to Cohesity UI, which you can do very easily, is for advanced logs and more detailed monitoring, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. For a basic user, this is absolutely perfect.
This is perfect. The majority of the requests we get can be handled by the customers themselves here right now.
Yeah.
The next one is obviously the operations manager. And as a partner or a customer, you can use the operation manager for see your builds, have a look on your VDC, do some monitoring stuff, check the metrics, all the type of features that majority of the features that operations obviously bring to the tenants are visible here.
Okay. So you are using vRealize Operations and the tenant app solution to deliver these metrics, but you're not selling anything above the VDC out the box dashboards.
No, we're not right now.
Yeah.
So it's exactly, we just deliver the VDC, and it's up to partners to sell that, because they obviously should make that money and sell the consultancy hours.
And I guess you let the partners define their own metering policies here.
They can do that, yeah.
Yeah.
They can do that.
Do you give them anything out of the box, or?
I mean, the standard features are there, but nothing extra. If somebody has a request, we will make sure to do it for them. So as I mentioned earlier, we take a lot of feedback from our partners. We want them to grow this platform.
Yeah.
So the next thing is obviously the availability, the Cloud Director availability, and we just released that service. We also we can maybe have a look at it here in the front end. The Cloud Director availability, we are really thrilled to have released that, because we see a massive potential there. I mean,
this is cloud to cloud DR as well, right? It's between your two data centers at the moment.
Well, this is actually this is outgoing from the north, going most likely to, this is going from north, SCN, Sweden North, to Sweden Central.
Yeah.
But incoming to north, we also have an on-prem VMware.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So actually, here is some VMs are replicated to from on-prem, and this, to be honest, I think right now, as the environments look in the world right now, I think this is where the biggest thing, the biggest potential is. There is so many VMware platforms with single site. Just to be able to choose few VMs that are most critical, or the whole environment, to replicate it to a very simple service. I think it's a great product.
It is. I mean, we have a partner that's called it point and click DR. It really is that simple.
It is.
You know, from the customer perspective, I just select the machine and that's it. I create a protection.
Yeah.
But you're right. We've seen probably about 200-300% jump since last year this time in the volume of protections.
Yeah,
it's quite unbelievable.
I mean, just on these few days that we have had it released, there is so much interest coming in. So I think this is going to be a next big thing. To be honest, you made it such a simple product, and I believe there's huge opportunities here.
Great.
The only thing I'm missing, if you ask me, is a Hyper-V migration to VMware. If that comes, that will be.
I hear you. And you're not the only one to ask that one.
But yeah, so I don't know if I should go into the product, but as you said, point and click. I mean, choose, hit protection. We have 3 different SLA profiles with different RPOs. That's about it. Fixed pricing per VM, and also how much allocation it does. Very simple.
Cool. Yep.
And one should really add, if I may, just the RTO is even greater, since it's just a power on in the VDC environment. So
true.
When we have tested it, I mean, we are live within seconds or minutes, and that's fantastic. Right? So.
Yeah, if you've got a good network bandwidth between you, that final sync of the diff for a warm failover is it's nothing really. It is super quick.
True. And obviously the last thing that it's a beta version right now, so we have released it for testing. We're not live with it, but we really look forward to the app launchpad. And I've seen some of your sessions, Guy. I think it's a credible product. The integration with the whole Bitnami portfolio you guys have done here, I think that's going to be amazing. Just to be able to, we obviously are now just providing some apps for testing, but we will push all the 150 plus applications Bitnami offers, and customers and partners will be able to just hit launch, choose application, hit launch, and
it's not just the Bitnami, it's the VMware Cloud Marketplace as well. That's
exactly.
Going to be available. So third parties, and I love the way that it's for me, it's just taking out the complexity It's giving people that catalog that they want, that
Yep.
point and click. I just want a Cassandra virtual appliance. Boom, I've got a Cassandra database.
Exactly.
And also, I think it's really nice for providers who haven't really approached the kind of digital transformation portfolio and haven't built out offering sets around this, because with this they get a whole load of dev-ready cloud solutions which are going to greatly help their customers develop, but develop in their environment rather than in the hyperscale cloud,
Yeah.
and have this, have the same capabilities with a lot of these applications that you would get from a hyperscaler as well.
Yeah.
So it drives, in my mind, it drives a kind of the guardrails for future development.
Yeah.
I want future development to be on a VMware cloud because I know and trust a VMware cloud. It's like the Rolls Royce of clouds.
Exactly.
But you want to have that protection that it doesn't go out somewhere else. And by giving developers access to this, you're saying to them, well, here's all the tools you need. So
Exactly.
integrate them into your CI/CD.
I mean, this looks amazing. Once again, we're just testing it right now, but we're gonna hopefully release it within a couple of weeks, and I also think this could be a great thing. So basically, this is it. I mean, the key takeaway, the simplicity in this front-end portal to switch customers, this simple and this quick, and choose customer B, hit the data center. Right now, you're managing customer B in this specific case. You want to jump back to a third customer, go ahead and do that. You're right now running, obviously they don't have any VDC. But it is this simple, and you as a partner have the full capability of delivering the right, how do you say, who should have access, who should not have access to it. It's up to you to choose if you want them to give them privileges to do stuff.
And yeah, I mean, we've got the tenant impersonation capability down in VCD layer as well. So you've got this ability to do it at the service level right at the top here, and then also at the the VDC layer if you want to go into that level of detail as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm super impressed with the work you guys have done. I think it's really nice. It's really slick. I'm also very interested to see where this business model goes for you. There are quite a few providers now I know of in Europe and beyond who are doing this type of model. It's interesting because they're all doing it in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of them are going to be watching this video thinking, I wish I'd done it that way.
I mean, we've seen some of the videos, and it's interesting to see some there is a lot of similarity, but also some stuff that are done differently. And I'm really also interested to see what the future holds.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck, and thank you so much, Jasenko and Robert, for coming on today's call and showing everyone around Cloudist Solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, good.